So you want to be an owner operator, you want to be a fleet owner, you want to start a business in the trucking industry. Well, if that's you, if you're interested in that, this is the video for you. You need to stay tuned till the very end, because at the end, I'm going to tell you how you can be set up for success, whether you're operating your business in bad times, okay times, or in great times. Doesn't matter. I'm going to talk about how you can succeed in this business over the long run, have long-term sustainable success. But here at the beginning, the first half of this video, I'm going to talk about some of the harsh realities of running a business in this industry, and why I believe most trucking companies go out of business. And that's what I'm going to talk about. So if you're new to the channel, I appreciate you for being here. Make sure you like the video, sub to the channel again if you're new. If you're not new, like the video. Either way, I need y'all to help me with the YouTube algorithm and help grow the channel. I would appreciate it if you would do that. I'm going to get right into it. So why am I making this video? Why am I inspired to make this video? Well, as you can see, I am in a hotel room. My truck, the transmission control module went bad on the truck that I drive. And so I had to have my truck towed from the receiver, the place I delivered to. I had to have it towed from there to a dealership to get this transmission control module replaced. Now, unfortunately, it was a Thursday when I had this issue, and by the time I got towed over to the dealership, they couldn't look at it until Friday. And they figured out what was wrong with it pretty fast, but they had to, by the time they figured out what was wrong with it and got the part, it was way later in the day. And unfortunately, this is Labor Day weekend, so and the dealership's closed over the weekend, so they're really not going to be able to get to fixing it and replacing that module until Tuesday. So I will have been, when it's all said and done, they should get it done Tuesday. It doesn't really take that long to fix that, but when you're dealing with dealerships, man, the wait times on just getting your truck looked at can be ridiculous. And then, they got it. Well, fortunately, this repair is under warranty. That is a good thing. But when you deal with warranty companies, that can take a while to get the payments processed and everything, and the approval of the repair. And it's nice that I don't have to pay for the repair out of pocket. However, it is kind of a pain to deal with these warranty companies 100%. So long story short, I went in Thursday, kind of later in the day. They couldn't get to it till Friday. They had to, diagnose it, figure out what was wrong with it, and they're not going to be able to knock out the repair till Tuesday. So, that's what, 5 days down. And then the week prior to this, I had to get the air intake valve replaced on this truck as well. So the last few weeks with this truck that I'm driving, I've had some downtime. I've had about 7 days. It took 2 days to get that repair done on the for the air intake valve, and this is going to be 5 days. So that's a whole week. And for those of you that are owner operators, you know that a week of downtime is like $5,000 in revenue, bare minimum, that you're losing. And on top of that, I've had to stay in hotel rooms, and that can get expensive, because when you're in hotel rooms, you can't really cook in the hotel the same way you can cook in your truck, which I do. When I'm in my truck, I'm always eating, grocery store bought food. It's kind of hard to do that when you're stuck in a place where it's not that convenient to cook and, buy groceries and everything. So that does suck. A lot of downtime, a lot of costs because of hotels. I had to pay the tow bill, and again, just downtime and lost revenue. And why do I share this? Well, because it got me thinking, man, no wonder people go out of business, and whether they own one truck or multiple trucks. Now, I do have a fleet. For those of you that are new, and just for context, I drive one truck and I have 5 other drivers, so 6 trucks total. but I still drive one of the trucks. And fortunately, it's the truck I'm driving that's having these issues. Because, I do pay breakdown pay and everything like that to my drivers. So I'd have to be paying their hotel expenses and breakdown pay on top of that and the lost revenue. And so now, fortunately, again, this repair is covered under warranty, but it still sucks. It's still downtime at the end of the day. And why do I share all this? Well, because are you prepared for times like this? Are you prepared for that? And I'm going to go through the list of problems that, whether you're one truck or multiple truck, it doesn't matter what size of business you are. You're going to go through times like this. You're going to have times where, your truck breaks down. If you're a solo owner op, you're going to have times where your truck is in the shop for a week and a half, and you're out in the middle of nowhere, and you've got to pay for a hotel room, and you've got to come out of savings to pay your personal bills. Are you prepared for that? Most businesses are not. And people do a lot of ragging on me because I promote doing this business debt free. And again, I'm going to get into that at the end. But there's a reason why. There's a method to the madness, as they say. And so what are the things, not just breakdowns, I'll talk about everything. What are the things that, really why most companies go out of business? Well, number one, the most important thing is just lack of good, consistent freight. A lot of trucking, like a lot of owner operators or small fleet owners, they come in and, they start hauling off the load boards and hauling freight for brokers. And, that's okay just starting out. I mean, you can do that and have success with it. But I don't think that's the way to go long term. I think in the long run, when you get into trucking, you need to establish and build relationships with brokers or your own direct customers. And ultimately, your own direct customers 100%. But the goal of every owner operator or fleet owner should be, I got to get in, I got to pay my dues. I'm going to be dealing with different brokers all the time, but eventually, and the spot market freight, I'm going to be dealing with that, but eventually establishing and building good relationships with brokers and getting freight that they don't even put on the load board. They just go directly to you with it instead of putting it on the load board. So you're getting the best paying freight that they have. And that takes people skills. It takes salesmanship and good people skills and great customer service to establish that. But long term, that is what every trucking company's goal should be, is to again get in, build relationships, and with brokers and your own direct customers. That way you're not reliant on the spot market. That is the number one reason why I believe most companies fail, because they're too dependent on the spot market. It's not that the spot market's always bad. It's just that shouldn't be the only way you're getting your freight, because, whenever we're going through a recession, the spot market can be really rough. It can be really rough. And the companies that have those relationships will get through those time periods because they, the brokers and the shippers, those are their most reliable carriers, and they're willing to pay more for better service. 100%. It's no different than any other business. But that's the number one thing. Now, my company is leased on, or my fleet is leased on to a carrier that has 100% contract freight. Now, don't get me wrong. Just because, we have contract freight, and if you're leased onto a company that does have that doesn't mean we won't go through time periods where that doesn't slow down. But at least I don't have to worry about the fluctuations in rates. That's the point. Get to where you're not worried about the fluctuations in rates. I do believe that's the number one thing, is customers. Of course, you don't have a business unless you have freight to pull. So again, that's number one. Number two, lack of capital is the other thing. Lack of capital to deal with things like I'm dealing with. And, are you prepared to not make any money with your truck for 2 weeks at a time and come out of pocket to pay the hotel expenses, your personal expenses, the repair bill itself, the tow bill? Do you have the capital to deal with that, whether that be cash or, a line of credit, but you got to have access to capital, whether it's your capital or the bank's capital, but you got to have that. Underfunded trucking businesses, I mean, it's common sense. If you don't have the money to get through times like this, you're going to have to close the doors. You're going to have to shut your business down. So, number one, customers. Number two, lack of capital. Number three, most companies that go out of business are they have a lot of debt. They're highly leveraged. Okay, most businesses in trucking, especially, are definitely not running a debt-free operation. Every single trucking company that goes out of business, whether it's one truck or multiple trucks, had debt on their equipment, on their trucks, their trailers. They had a high cost of operation. And why is it important, in my opinion, to be debt free if you can, or have very low debt? I'm not saying that. You can't use debt at all in trucking. I don't personally. I don't do that. But if you are going to use debt, you at least need to have a very high debt to equity ratio. Don't go out and put 25% down on your equipment and be undercapitalized and leverage 75% of the what it costs to buy that equipment. Don't do that, because your cost of operation, those truck payments are going to be so high. And whenever you deal with times like this where your trucks aren't making any money for a week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks at a time, you're going to burn through that cash. You're going to burn through that capital real quick, because you're not only dealing with the downtime, the repair, the tow bill, the hotel expenses, yada, 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 but you're also having to make that payment on top of that. And that's why I'm anti-debt in trucking, man, because when at least I don't have those payments. Yeah, I'm losing revenue, but I can recover a lot faster, being that I'm not going in the hole having to make these payments. Because the banks don't care. If they loan you money to buy a truck, they want their money. They don't care whether it's broken down for 2 weeks or not. You got to make those payments. And so, that is something that's why a lot of businesses go under. So, one, customers. Two, undercapitalized. Three, highly leveraged. Too much debt. And those are the three main things, really. And then I would say after that, if you're if you're a small trucking business, after that, it just depends on the size too. If you're one truck, that'll apply to one truck or multiple trucks, what I just said. But then the fourth thing I would say is like systems. Fifth thing, the people that you hire if you have multiple trucks. Also, too, what knowledge do you have? Do you know a lot about the trucking business? Do you have a lot of knowledge about business and money and how that works? A lot of people that start a business in trucking aren't educated about business. And, so if you don't understand sales, marketing, finance, accounting, bookkeeping, all of that stuff, if you don't understand that stuff, I would suggest you get educated before you start a business, because again, lack of experience, lack of education, lack of capital ultimately is why so many businesses go under in this industry, 100%, and highly leveraged. So I told you, I say all that because it's true. The people that watch me, that are a lot of owner ops watch me. There are some fleet owners that watch me. They know it's true. They know it's true. It's not a matter of if you're going to go through tough times. It's a matter of when and for how long and for how much it's going to cost you. And I'm a big believer in doing something when you are in a position to do it. Common sense, but most people don't do that. They don't want to wait. They save up 20 grand and they think they have, $20 million, and they go put down on a truck and go buy a brand new truck and have $5,000 a month truck payments and think they're going to make it. You're not going to make it, because you need to be prepared. Like I talked about, freight, that's number one. Without, consistent, decent paying rates, you're not going to survive at all. And you need to have a low cost of operation to survive the times where freight is not paying that well. You need to be able to survive those times because most time periods it's a normal market. Like right now is a normal market. A couple years ago was a recession. Right now we're getting into more of a normal trucking market. And a few years ago, back when COVID was going on, that was an artificially high trucking market. Anybody could make money with that. Anybody, but that wasn't the norm. You need to be set up to survive the normal markets, the bad markets, and the great markets. Don't just be set up to survive when every load is paying $3 plus a mile, because that's not reality. That's not really going to come back, and if it does, it's not going to last forever. And so you need to have a business that again thrives no matter what, no matter whether you're doing contract freight, brokered freight, or whatever, right? And it all begins with finances. It all begins with, again, just your business structure entirely. So I'm going to go through, in my opinion, what you need in order to succeed. And this is one truck or multiple trucks, doesn't matter. But again, number one, customers. What's your plan on customers? Are you going to lease on to a carrier that has contract freight and those connections with brokers? I would suggest doing that, especially if you're one truck. I think that's the best route to go. Not getting your own authority, especially when you're small, man. 5 trucks or less. Why? Why go do that when you can just go on with a bigger, more established carrier that already has that? That way you don't have to worry about the number one thing starting out, which is good, consistent freight. So that's number one. If you want to get your own authority, great, do that. Like I said, your goal though should be to establish and build relationships. So number one, how are you going to get your freight, and what's your plan to get it if you're doing it on your own? But that's number one. Number two, I always recommend, if you're going to be an owner-op or own multiple trucks, doesn't matter. For every truck you buy, for every piece of equipment you buy, do it debt-free so that you, one, have a low cost of operation. You want to have a lower cost of operation than the competition. If you buy a truck in cash and you are debt-free, you are... your cost of operation is like 20 cents to 40 cents per mile cheaper, lower than the majority, 90% of trucking businesses out there. Again, whether they're one truck or multiple trucks. And that is a huge advantage when you have 20 to 40 cents per mile cheaper cost of operation than the competition. So that is, it's all about cash flow, at the end of the day. You want, and then not only that, like I said, when you're dealing with time periods like I'm going through right now, you can, you don't have to go in the hole. Yes, you're losing money. Yes, you're going to have to dip into some of your reserves to get through it, but you're not going deep and deep and deep into the hole when you are debt free. So low cost of operation, you're more competitive when you have a lower cost of operation. And two, again, you can sustain yourself and not go into the hole when you have downtimes like this. So one, customers. Two, debt free. Three, you need to have $20,000 to $30,000 in an emergency fund starting out. So a debt free truck and an emergency fund starting out. I don't care if that truck is new or not, you still need an emergency fund. 100%. And that way, when you first start out, you're prepared to make repairs on that truck. And, and then once you get rolling too, I would put, like I always suggest, put about 10 to 20 cents per mile away into that maintenance fund and beef it up. So say you start out with $20,000, you still need to add to it and replenish that fund, because you don't want to just leave it there. You're going to have to use some of that money to do services, tire repairs, pay for things on that truck. You need to have that plus fund it with about 15 to 20 cents per mile. And that's what I would do, 100%. So those three things are the main things, consistent customer base, debt-free, have an emergency fund, be funding that emergency fund through just again, take whatever you run, take 15, 20 cents per mile every week and put that into that maintenance fund to keep building it up and cash flow all your services and repairs and everything, and build it up over time, right? And I also would suggest too, like if you're buying a truck, you definitely want to get a warranty on it. Now, some people aren't fans of warranties because you do have to pay more for it, but I would suggest at least get a 2-year warranty on a truck. 3 if you can. It'll be more depending on how long that warranty is, but I would suggest at least for 2 years, get a warranty. And that way, if there's anything major like transmission, engine, after treatment system, stuff like that, you want that stuff covered so that you're not having to come out of pocket for repairs like that, because those repairs can be very, very expensive. And now I know a lot of people, when they buy a truck, they're like, well, I'm not going to buy another truck. I'll just rebuild the engine or, pay for it. Instead of buying another truck, I'll just put a new engine in it. And that's not a bad idea. But when you first buy that truck, at least if you have warranty for a couple years, you can save up and you can stack up money to prepare for the rebuild and for that one box to go out or transmission to go out. That's what I would be doing. If you plan on keeping the truck longer than 2 years and rebuilding it, that's not a bad idea, because rebuilding an engine and just doing that could actually end up being cheaper than buying a new truck, 100%. But you got to have the money to pay for that. And so when you get in, that's why I suggest having a warranty for at least a couple years, because again, it gives you 2 years or 3 years to save up and do that rebuild. And once the warranty expires, then you're set up. You're kind of self-insured on that truck, but that's what I would do if you plan on, keeping it and doing that. Still get a warranty starting out, and be set up to do a rebuild, because you never know when stuff like that's going to happen. Look, I had no idea. My truck started up just fine the other day. Started up, ran it to the customer, shut it off, and tried to turn it back on. Wouldn't even try to start at all. All the lights came on and everything, but wouldn't even try to start. The module's done. So you never know when stuff like that's going to happen, like I said, and you need to be prepared for those things. So again, if you're watching this video and you've watched it this far, it may sound like, oh, he's just rambling, but I'm trying to tell you the realities of what it's like owning and operating these trucks. This is the reality. And if you've watched this far, you can see why. There's so much that goes into being successful in business and in trucking. There's a lot that goes into it. And I know what I tell people to do, is very hard to do it. It's very hard to do it. And I'm going to end with this. Is it even worth it? In my opinion, in my experience, it's not worth it unless you can do it the way I'm telling you to do it. I'm going to be honest. It's not even worth it, because if you're a company driver, and when you're a company driver, you have no risk at all. What risk do you have? You could, the dangers of trucking, but that's every driver. You don't have any real financial risk being a company driver. If the truck breaks down, you don't have to pay for that. You don't have to pay for the hotel expenses. You don't have to pay, come out of pocket to pay your personal expenses. You don't have to do that. At most companies, if your truck breaks down, they'll just give you another truck. And even if you're down for 5 days, a lot of them will pay you breakdown pay. Moral of the story, you don't have the financial risk that an owner-operator has or a fleet owner has. You don't have that. And if you're wanting to be an owner-operator, you got to ask yourself the question, if you're not able to do it debt-free, if you're not able to get good, consistent freight, if you don't have the reserves, how is it worth it? You can make $100,000 a year, invest a large percentage of your money into a 401k, put that money in a low-cost index fund, and not have to worry about the ups and downs of the freight market and breakdowns and all the stuff I just talked about, and become a multimillionaire by just driving a truck for somebody else and not have to deal with the headaches. Like, don't get me wrong, being an owner-op can be very rewarding. You can make twice as much money as a company guy if you do it the way I tell you. You can. But you are going to have these downtimes. You are going to have these issues. That's the thing. Are you prepared for those? Are you prepared for the recessions? Are you prepared for the breakdowns? Are you prepared for all the things we just discussed? And that's the only way I can think of that to where you are prepared for that. And even if you are set up the way I tell you, it still sucks to go through it 100%. But at least I know I'm going to get through it and be able to rebound. Because I can tell you right now, I wouldn't run this business, I wouldn't continue growing it if I wasn't set up like this with every truck I have. 100%. I wouldn't do it. I don't see how it's worth it. If I had, $500 a week in truck payments on top of what I'm dealing with now, there's no way it's worth it to be an owner operator. I wouldn't do it. I'd be a company driver again. 100%. That's the truth. So if you watched it all the way till the end, I appreciate you for watching this video, and I just want to share the realities. I told y'all a couple videos ago that I would share the realities of being an owner op and a fleet owner, and this is it. And again, there's weeks, there's months where I make way more money than I've ever seen in my life, 100%. But then there's weeks where we make nothing. We're losing money. That's the way it goes. And the way I just told you to be set up, you will get through the tough times, the okay times, and the good times. No matter what, you will thrive for the long run. So that's my video for today. God bless. I really appreciate each and every one of you for watching. Stay tuned for the next video. Peace out.